Mr. Foreperson, if you would go ahead and read the verdict.
With regard to count one, as to the offense of malice murder, we, the jury, find the defendant guilty. With regard to count two, as to the offense of felony murder, we, the jury, find the defendant guilty. With regard to count three, as to the offense of aggravated assault, we, the jury, find the defendant guilty. With regard to count four, as the offense of felony murder, we, the jury, find the defendant guilty. With regard to count five, as the offense of false imprisonment, we, the jury, find the defendant guilty. With regard to count six, as to the offense of possession of firearm during commission of a felony, we, the jury, find the defendant guilty. With regard to count seven, as to the offense of possession of firearm during commission of a felony, we, the jury, find the defendant guilty. With regard to count eight, as to the offense of possession of firearm during commission of a felony, we, the jury, find the defendant guilty. Respectfully submitted, the 12th day of December, 2023.
Councilors, is there anything further required of this jury before I dismiss them?
If the court can hold the jury.
Okay. I will hold the jury. And so I'm just going to go sequentially and ask you a number of questions to which you will respond. Foreperson, was that your verdict in the jury room?
Yes, ma'am.
Was it freely and voluntarily made by you?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it still your verdict?
Yes, ma'am.
Next person. Was that your verdict in the jury room?
Yes, ma'am.
Was it freely and voluntarily made by you?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it still your verdict?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Was that your verdict in the jury room?
Yes, ma'am.
Was it freely and voluntarily made by you?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it still your verdict?
Yes, ma'am.
Was that your verdict in the jury room?
Yes, ma'am.
Was it freely and voluntarily made by you?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it still your verdict?
Yes, ma'am.
Was that your verdict in the jury room?
Yes, ma'am.
Was it freely and voluntarily made by you?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it still your verdict?
Yes, ma'am.
Was that your verdict in the jury room?
Yes, ma'am.
Was it freely and voluntarily made by you?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it still your verdict?
Yes, ma'am.
Was that your verdict in the jury room? Was it freely and voluntarily made by you?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it still your verdict?
Yes, ma'am.
Was that your verdict in the jury room?
Yes, ma'am.
Was it freely and voluntarily made by you?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it still your verdict?
Yes, ma'am.
Sir? Was that your verdict in the jury room?
Yes, ma'am.
Was it freely and voluntarily made by you?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it still your verdict?
Yes, ma'am.
Next. Was that your verdict in the jury room?
Yes, ma'am.
Was it freely and voluntarily made by you?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it still your verdict?
Yes, ma'am.
Was that your verdict in the jury room? Was it freely and voluntarily made by you? Is it still your verdict? Was that your verdict in the jury room?
Yes, ma'am.
Was it freely and voluntarily made by you?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it still your verdict?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I have polled the jurors. Ladies and gentlemen, you have now concluded your service on this jury. You're no longer subject to or bound by the instructions that I've previously given to you about not talking to anyone about this case. You're now free to talk to anyone you like about the case and the decision that your jury has reached. By the same token, You're not required to speak with anyone about this case. That is your decision. However, sometimes the attorneys like to talk with you to ascertain your views about the evidence and inputs from how they could improve. But again, you're not required to speak to anyone about the case. That is purely your decision. For your service and your commitment to your jury duty this week, you are free to go.
Hanging out over here, they might just get
Right, you'll be outside the
over
courtroom?
near the steps.
Okay.
They usually remand the person right away, but I'm not seeing that happening right now. And maybe they have a different process in Georgia. Maybe they wait till the jury is out of the room. I mean, I hope that this family and the people who've been watching this have learned something from this.
You may be seated.
You can't take justice in your own
I'm going
hands.
to remand you into the custody of the sheriff's department.
There we go. She's being remanded. The perp walk. Did you notice how she got louder as she walked in, as if she
Counsel, what I
wanted
do
to be
want do
heard?
At this time is set a date for the sentencing. My proposed date is December 20th, which is next Wednesday. Yes.
It's like she wanted people to hear her. Now her family's crouching. I feel for her family. They didn't do anything.
Leave, but I'm willing to come back. That's
Okay. If there are any changes, we will let you know.
Is there any possible way that we can have this done on Friday? I know you're already having court and I'm already, the family's in from out of town
Okay,
and they have traveled and we are putting them up in
okay,
hotels to be here. And just for their convenience, we would request that the sentencing be on the 15th.
okay. I believe I can accommodate that.
I think if I'm hearing correctly,
9 in the morning, my afternoon is wide open, where I can come after when that case releases.
Okay,
I think this would be a continuation of the trial. We would still be on trial, so this would take precedence.
okay.
if I'm hearing correctly, they're
I can accommodate the 15th. I just need to see what, we have 9 o'clock on Friday, correct? We could do it after.
Friday
We
at
could
9
do it
o'clock.
after. I could consider 10 o'clock on Friday morning.
I'm pretty sure that's for sentencing.
Thank you. Court stands adjourned at this time. Thank you all.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Oh, his brothers from out of town. Yeah, and they probably I'm sure they need to give their victim impact statements and stuff.
Oh.
I'm trying to hear what's being said. I'm being nosy, and I'm trying to hear what's being said on the hot mic here.
Let me do it here. Okay. And do this. The show go here. Yeah, go in the office. Yeah, I'm just packing up.
Yeah.
Over here. I'll put it up there.
All right.
Take all of it.
You never know what you will hear on the hot mic.
Oh, no, those were just, I didn't, when I.
Yeah, we have one.
Okay, thank you.
All right. There we go. So I think that was kind of an open and shut kind of thing. We saw it right now. So I'll plan to cover the sentencing live on Friday, unless, barring any unforeseen circumstances. And I think that I might have chosen the next case I want to cover live, which it starts next Tuesday. Let me grab it here. I think I have it. Sorry. Yeah. Michigan versus Shanda Vander Ark. She is oh, hey Heels, good to see you. So Shanda Vanderheel, wait, Shanda Vander Ark. I almost said Shanda Vander Heels. Shanda Vander Ark is a law clerk who is on trial for torturing and murdering her son, her 15-year-old special needs son. And one of the reasons I started this channel, revamped this channel, is because I find it amazing how people will act in a court of law where it matters the most. And here we have a law clerk, okay? And her son, so she has 2 sons, and one of them is older, and she and her son were torturing this kid. And I want to make sure I have it just says tortured son. Sorry. I'm sorry. He may not have been murdered. I apologize. I don't want to, sometimes I mush up details. So I think it's just for the torture, but the older son who helped her with the abuse is testifying against her. He was here, I'll put it up on screen so you guys can see it. I'm not going to play the video. Hold on just a sec. Just so you guys can see. Yeah, here it is. There's what the woman there's what the woman looks like. So I'll make it bigger. So there are text messages back and forth between her and her son where she's saying things like, how about if you just open his mouth as wide as possible and pour hot sauce in it. And they also poured she also told her son to pour hot sauce on his genitals, but her son declined to do it. So for immunity, the older son was also arrested and charged, but apparently for immunity, he's testifying against his mother. I mean, and apparently her defense has started to mount a temporary insanity type case or defense. So I plan to start covering. Yes, the verdict was guilty, Amelia. I mean, came back so quickly. I mean, I feel lucky that I was here to be able to carry it live because I just got back from running the errands I was talking about earlier. So I'm like, phew. Anyway, woot woot. All counts, guilty on all counts, and it was a little silly. Maybe I'll show this just so Amelia can see it, okay? Because she started to she started sobbing at the table as she was found guilty, and then as she was sent out of the court, her sobs got louder and louder, as if it's like, I want to be heard. I want to be heard. Watch this.
Kindly stand.
I mean, she's all about herself.
Further required
Has
of
she
this
ever shed a tear for that man?
jury.
Here we go. Listen. And she wasn't super loud, but she just kept getting
Councilor,
louder and
I
louder.
do
She's
want
like,
to do at this time is
please hear me sobbing. Please hear me sobbing. So the sentencing, in case you didn't hear it, the sentencing for this case is on Friday, at 9 Eastern. She didn't show an ounce of compassion. She never even asked about him. She thought she was doing she thought she was freaking, Batwoman of near the airport Atlanta area. Heels, were you asking trial for the other lady? The trial for that other lady I was talking about in Michigan, that starts on Tuesday. And then as obviously this trial stopped today. So anyway, thank you all for being here. Yeah, that's right. She thought she was one of the Avengers. Here I come to save the day from this clearly medically impaired man. And I need to save the world from him. Anyway, all right. Thank you all for being here, and I will see you soon. Bye.